Alright, so here's the deal. Everybody is talking about something major that's messing with the whole luxury industry in a way that should have every European paying attention. We're talking about China.
And we end today's show about luxury bags carefully handcrafted in China. Turns out your quote-unquote made in Italy luxury handbag might have more ties to Chinese factories than to Tuscany.
Yeah, China, calling out luxury brands left and right, and Europe, which usually sits in this weird middle seat between China and the US, is getting caught in a messy game of economic chess. And what's wild is the US is over here playing power moves like it's the final round of Monopoly, taxing everybody, including its so-called allies in Europe, and then acting shocked when the global economy starts looking like a roller coaster ride from hell. So check this out. Over the past week, there's been a straight-up wave of videos popping up from inside Chinese factories, and they're basically pulling back the curtain on some of the biggest names in luxury fashion. Gucci, Prada, Chanel, even Hermès, brands that Europeans have worn with pride for decades, are being exposed for outsourcing the bulk of their production to factories in China. Like, not just a few pieces here and there, we're talking about major operations being run in places most Western shoppers couldn't point to on a map. And the kicker, these bags and clothes still get stamped with labels like Made in Italy or Made in France. That's right, what people thought they were paying thousands for turns out was produced in China and slapped with a designer logo. And the drama doesn't stop there because luxury brands like Hermès, Chanel, Louis Vuitton and Prada have built their entire reputation on European craftsmanship. We're talking about places like Pantin in Paris, where Hermès says its bags are crafted by a single artisan, or the workshops in Tuscany that claim leatherwork is an art passed down through generations. But here's where things get even spicier. Chinese influencers are dropping videos saying nearly 80% of luxury handbags are actually made in China and just repackaged to look European.
However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that.
People are losing their minds over this. In response, defenders of the industry are pointing to European and US labeling laws that say for an item to be labeled Made in France or Made in Italy, the most significant transformation, including key components and labor, has to happen locally. Brands even go the extra mile for certifications like Origin France Guarantee to prove their transparency. But here's the catch, those videos might be spotlighting low-end licensed products or even counterfeits. Yup, some experts are saying those factory clips might not be showing the real deal but high-quality knockoffs. But this isn't just some viral scandal, it's a calculated move. China is doing this at the exact same time the US is waging this heavy tariff war, dropping taxes on European goods left and right. Like, earlier this month the US threw down tariffs on European imports, including luxury items, with increases going from 20% to over 30% depending on the country. Swiss watches, French leather, Italian shoes, all caught in the mix. And while the US claims it's all about balancing trade, Europe knows it's getting dragged into something bigger. Here's where China flips the script. Instead of hitting Europe with tariffs, China is using consumer sentiment and media to make luxury look ridiculous, like a scam. Videos showing the real origins of so-called premium products are blowing up. Influencers and factory workers are straight up saying, "We made this for like $5 and now they're selling it for $3,000. And Chinese consumers, they're eating it up. That same group that used to line up outside Louis Vuitton stores in Shanghai is now turning to local brands, proud of homegrown quality and a little tired of the West's snobbery. So Europe is standing in the middle of two superpowers, both flexing in very different ways.
You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%.
On one side, the US is throwing up trade barriers, making it harder for European brands to profit off the American market, and let's not pretend it's not intentional. The US economy isn't doing too hot either, so they're using tariffs to protect their own and squeeze others. On the other side, China isn't taxing Europe, but they're shifting the vibe. They're saying, look, your brands rely on us, your consumers are losing interest, and if we really wanted to, we could tank your industry overnight, just by switching public opinion. Pause for a sec. If you're enjoying this breakdown, and you want more deep dives that connect the dots no one's talking about, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, we've got more coming that'll blow your mind. And here's where things get wild. India's trade experts are saying this is a strategic play to erode trust in Western brands and normalize knockoffs. According to the US Chamber of Commerce, China is behind 86% of the world's counterfeit goods, That's right, 86%. And the total global counterfeit trade, it's over $1 trillion with China controlling more than 800 billion of that. Chinese manufacturers are pushing out high-quality fakes that look nearly identical to the real thing, and TikTok is being used to hype them up like they're just as good, maybe even better. So yeah, some bags that you see might be made in China, but that doesn't mean they're actually Chanel or Gucci, they might just be counterfeit. And while authentic European luxury brands still stand by their whole transparency and craftsmanship angle, this new front in the trade war is no longer just about tariffs, it's about who controls global image, global influence, and economic soft power. This isn't just a trade spat, it's a full-on narrative war. The US says China's the villain, Europe needs to follow its lead, join the sanctions, cut ties. But at the same time, the US is taxing Europe like a rival, not like a friend. And China, they're playing the long game. They're not banning European brands, they're exposing them. They're saying we make your luxury, we own your manufacturing, and you can't live without us. That's a power flex Europe wasn't ready for. Meanwhile, European luxury companies are scrambling. Some are raising prices in the US to cover tariff costs, but that just makes them look even more overpriced. Others are trying to hide how much they rely on Chinese production, but in the age of social media, that secret's not staying secret for long. And let's be real, when young people in China or even in Europe see videos of handbags being made in a Chinese factory and then sold for a ridiculous markup, they're gonna start asking questions. Like, is this really worth it, or have we just been buying into a fantasy? Europe's leaders are trying to play nice with both sides. They don't want to go full anti-China, because they know how important that market is.
Europe is today 98% dependent on one country, China.
And they're definitely not loving how the US is treating them either. So we've got Europe, the birthplace of fashion and luxury, stuck trying to defend its image while its two biggest partners are turning the screws in totally different ways. Another quick one, if you're the type who watches global markets and wants to stay ahead of the curve, drop a like and hit that bell, it really helps us keep going with content like this. So what happens next? Well, the luxury industry is starting to feel the pressure, stocks are dropping, investor confidence is slipping, and if this narrative keeps building, it won't just be a trend, it'll be a full shift in how the world sees European luxury. Add to that the rise of national pride in China, with people opting for local brands, and you've got a formula that could seriously shake up the old balance of power. For years luxury brands leaned on China's growing middle class, but now that same group is saying, maybe we don't need Europe's overpriced stuff. And honestly, Europe can't afford to lose that market. We're talking billions in revenue, thousands of jobs, and cultural influence that goes way beyond fashion. But they also can't keep pretending like made in Italy means what it used to. Not when people can literally show you the exact same product being made on a factory floor in Guangdong. This is about trust, about transparency, and about whether European brands can evolve before they lose the plot. If you made it this far, you're clearly into stories that dig a little deeper. So hit that subscribe button one more time, leave a comment on how you think this trade war will play out, and share this video with someone who still thinks luxury is untouchable. Peace.